Esteemed Chief Guest of the Day, Dr. Manish Shah, Chairman, National Dairy Development Board and Institute of Rural Management, Anand. Guest of Honor from NDDB, Dr. G. Kishore, Regional Head, Shri B. N. Shashikumar, Deputy General Manager, Shri T. T. Vinayagan, Deputy General Manager, Shri M. N. Satish, Senior Manager, Shri Sunil Kumar Nyamagunda, Team Leader, Dr. Mukul Gawande, Senior Manager, Honorable Director of IAPM, Professor Dr. Rakesh Mohan Joshi, sir, beloved teachers, staff, and my dear friends. A very good afternoon to one and all. I, Govindrajula Sharbani, student of ABPM, IAPM, feel privileged to stand before you to welcome all you to today's leadership talk on new opportunities in dairy and allied sectors. Let us begin the program by invoking the Almighty. I invite Mr. Harshad and team for the invocation. Thank you, team. Now I invite our chief guest, Dr. Manish Shah, Dr. G. Kishore, sir, our director, and Vijay Kumar, sir, and Lavanya, student representative, to please come forward for lighting the lamp. John. Thank you all. Now, I would like to request our Honorable Director, Professor Dr. Rakesh Mohan Joshi, sir, to present the bouquet to the Chief Guest of the Day, Dr. Manish Shah, Chairman, NDDB and Nirma. I would also request our Director, sir, to present the bouquet to our Guest of Honor, Dr. G. Kishore, Regional Head, NDDB. We are also privileged to have other eminent guests from NDDB. So I request a student, Vidya, to hand over the present to Mr. Sri B. N. Shashikumar, Deputy General Manager. Sri D. D. Vinayagam, Deputy General Manager. Yes. I would like Sharad to present the bouquet. Sri M. N. Satish, Senior Manager. Sri Sunil Kumar Nyamagonda, Team Leader. Dr. Mukul Gawande, Senior Manager. Thank you so much. Now, I invite our Director, Professor Dr. Rakesh Mohan Joshi, sir, to address the gathering.
Distinguished guest of today, Dr. Minesh ji, distinguished guests who have come from NDDB, Shri Kishore ji, and I think the other guests, which I think, I've got the list of, other guests, Shri Shashi ji, Shri, Vijayan ji, and I think Sunil ji, Mukul ji, and so many. So thank you so much for being with us. In fact, it's a matter of proud privilege for the Institute to host Dr. Minesh Shah, in this institute. And, I am extremely delighted to have him here. And, the formal introduction will be given by my colleagues. But I think, I'm privileged to know him for last almost 4 decades. He has been a gold medalist of his own time. This I know. He has also been a gold medalist at IRMA. And presently, he is the chairman of National Dairy Development Board. I think the key body of dairy. And I think to the students who don't know, let me tell you that he is chairman of over 12 organizations of the national level, including IRMA. He is also chairman of Indian Immunological, which is the world's largest producer of rabies vaccine, and many more if you know about it. So I think the formal introduction, but one thing you need to learn from him, 2 things. Number 1 is his leadership style. So that is absolutely, unmatched. I think those in NDDB will know it better. To get NDDB chairman, to talk NDDB chairman, I think you have no idea about. Unavailable. You can talk to the God, but not the NDDB chairman. But he has made the spirit of NDDB chairman as a people's person, where I think anyone in the organization can then talk. And, NDDB is the mother organization of all dairy federations, including, Karnataka Dairy Federation and Amul and all that. So, what is very important in the mother dairies, and also, he has integrated. So this integration, which was missing, is probably the first time. And I think let's look at it. And despite of the so far the guest I've invited, he's the brightest of the bright, and he's so humble that you'll never know that he had such big organization. You'll never know. वो चले जाएंगे तुमको पता नहीं चलेगा. But something in his credit is in the history of the international dairy. After I think more than 50 years, he is spearheaded organization of the International Dairy Conference in India, which we got after 50 years, and I think it was a astounding success, wherein I think it was inaugurated by the Prime Minister, and ministers of the central government, they were beelining to be part of the conference. सुबह एक आएगा, दोपहर में दूसरा, तीसरा. In a day, we had at least 6 ministers in a day, which he could coordinate. We had, I think, participants from more than 100 countries. So, that coffee conference was we were holding. So I was talking to the chief executive of coffee. तो मैंने बताया हमारी डेयरी कॉन्फ्रेंस जो मिनेश जी ने की थी, उसके अंदर we logged, I think we charged a fee of ₹1,00,000 per participant. ये क्या हम 6,000 चार्ज कर रहे हैं? मैंने कहा it will not work. But anyway, then I think you will be part of the World Coffee Conference. So that is the magnitude that he has operated. And another thing is, first time he has got the India's presence in the International Dairy Federation. He is also part of that, the Committee on International Dairy Policies and, and Economics. So that is one. And the biggest contribution is that, sustainability in the dairy industry, which was absolutely missing. People don't know about sustainability. IPM, nobody knows sustainability except Sudha. So sustainability is that, the dairy sustainability, I don't know you know or not, in Australia, 10,000 camels were slaughtered. Now they said that the chemical, they emit methane. And Indian dairy model of 1 and 2, cattle, which I think he is an expert on that and he will too, was criticized across the world. And he was bold enough to tell on the international forum that, look, it is the India's model which is sustainable. Now, sustainability by the Western means on which he is doing research is very different than our concept of sustainability. Our sustainability is sustainability of the farmer. Our sustainability is livelihood of the farmer. So farmers don't die. So I think, you can learn from him. I think, n number of times. Sustainability, not only to that. Karnataka came. Karnataka Milk Federation. Anyway, we are very benevolent. हम बहुत उदार हैं सब्सिडी देने में. ₹5 subsidy in milk is being given. Milk is given. It makes Karnataka Dairy Federation very, very competitive. The problem is Kerala people cry कि कर्नाटका का दूध हमारे यहाँ आ जाता है, हमको नहीं, हमको भी तुम सब्सिडी दो. Dr. Minesh has been the only top level person to tell at the platform to the government that this subsidy under no circumstance adds value to welfare of the farmer. And first thing NDDB was established was welfare of the farmer. In India, 50-55% people even today depend on farming activities. And I think he will tell you that dairy is the only industry which have grown. At the speed no industry has gone. The dairy's turnover is more than the turnover of all food grains taken together. So he heads the industry in agriculture is absolutely. Achha, one thing that I think what you talk of, the agriculture 4 and the technology 4, he is one who has implemented, and the whole world is saying, they are coming to ask him that how did you do it? पहले ये लोग कहते थे कि हिंदुस्तान के अंदर टेक्नोलॉजी कैन नॉट बी अडेप्टेड. हमारे फार्मर के पास तो 1-2 काऊ होती है, यू कैन नॉट अडेप्ट इट. आई थिंक जस्ट आई विश टू सेंड सम पीपल. I told Narendran today he'll be the first to be exported to Anand to learn as to, he has created an ecosystem of what we call is this, artificial this embryo transfer and cloning at the fraction of the cost that you get in Europe. Say if cow come in heat, the farmer only has to make a mobile, message, and, the message go till the headquarter, and the doctor attend this cow for, insemination, for embryo transfer. And this is cloning, and, the whole thing come into, the breed improvement. I think that technique we need to learn. Then the payment system in dairy. I think there are so many news, I cannot tell everything. So I think, I don't want to take time because he's so knowledgeable. I am extremely privileged to have him today. We wanted him last year, but, and I requested him to call him that, if he has got time, I'll call him for a bigger event in this institute. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I request Sucharita to present a bouquet to our director, sir. Now, I invite our Honorable Chief Guest of the Day, Dr. Manish Shah, Chairman, National Dairy Development Board and Institute of Rural Management, Anand. Sir has an illustrious and multifaceted career of more than 38 years in the dairy sector. Dr. Shah is also the Chairman of Mother Dairy, Indian Immunologicals, IDMC, NDDB Dairy Services, NDDB Mirda and CAF, which are furthering the objectives of NDDB and catering to various value chains of our dairy sector. Sir has been conferred the Dr. Kurain Award 2023 by the Indian Dairy Association in the recognition of his contribution to the development and growth of Indian dairy industry, and also has been conferred honorary degree Doctor of Science by Kamadhenu University. He is a member secretary of Indian National Committee of International Dairy Federation and a member of the Standing Committee on Dairy Policies and Economics of IDF. Sir has also ensured successful implementation of the World Bank funded Central Sector Scheme National Dairy Plan Phase 1 with the highest outcome rating of highly satisfactory by the World Bank and the independent evaluation group which paved the way for the second phase. During the early part of his career as scientist, he contributed in development of several new and innovative products. Dr. Shah is a dairy technologist and a postgraduate in rural management from the Institute of Rural Management, Anand. Even though there is a lot more to say, I could only highlight a few key aspects, key achievements, sir. Without any further delay, I welcome our chief guest, Dr. Manish Shah, to address the gathering.
So, good afternoon, Professor Rakesh Mohan Joshi ji, Director of IIPM, and also a senior alumni because we belong to the same institute. From both of us got the bachelor's degree. All the faculty members of IIPM, other dignitaries, my colleagues from NDDB, and dear students. I think I can't be more happy than be here among all of you who are going to actually shape the future of our country going forward. We had our stint, we have done whatever we could, but then I think all of you.
This campus was constructed by NDDB.
No, I'm coming to that. So that is one more reason to be happy because both the institutes which I chair now, NDDB and IRMA, both had a role to play in IIPM. IRMA conceptualized the IIPM, that why it is required. And then it was the then Commerce Secretary who was presented the outcome of the report which IRMA had prepared. And then NDDB being a actually premier institute, we were involved in setting up the dairy plants on turnkey basis. So the government wanted that only NDDB should build this campus, and whatever greenery you see or the campus you see, there were many first in the campus. It was, I think, the first green building which we had set up. I am talking about 2000 when nobody was aware about what is the green building concept. Architecture, you can differentiate wherever you go, you will realize that it is much more environmental friendly. Most of the time, you may not need the air conditioners. And same is our campus in Anand as well. For many years, we had no air conditioners except in few rooms. And more importantly, we could keep the terrain how it was. So most of the trees and the the terrain and the plantations, what was there earlier, we could keep most of it as the same. So I think it's all more pleasure for me to be in this campus, see for myself, because this is my first visit here. I have about 45 minutes. So what I will do is I'll just briefly give the genesis of NDDB and Amul, why they were set up, what was the need in the country. Then I'll briefly say that what are the major opportunities we have. I think that is the topic which I was requested to share with you. And apart from the opportunities, it's always the challenges which bring the opportunities. So I'll talk about roughly some challenges and what the sector, dairy sector as a whole, has to offer in future to all of you. Going to the genesis of Amul, I think because NDDB is actually because of Amul. Later on, I think Professor Joshi told that we are the mother institute of all the cooperatives. But then I think Amul was the first, a dairy cooperative which was set up in Anand, somewhere very close to the independent movement we had. So in 1946, we saw the Amul being set up in Anand. It was an undivided district of Kera at that point of time. So it was a Kera District Milk Cooperative Union. And the efforts were from the leaders like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Morarji Desai. They were the leaders in that area. And there was a private dairy there named Paulson. I don't know whether, I think the older generation will still remember the word Paulson, which is replaced by Amul butter now. But Paulson butter used to be the, a famous brand in the country and perhaps the only good butter in those times. So the farmers, generally this district was endowed with good irrigation facilities, good fertile land. As a result, most of them, apart from the agriculture, they were also involved in the animal husbandry. So they were producing milk. Largest market available was in Bombay because it's about 450 kilometers from Anand. So Paulson used to take milk to sell in Bombay. At that point of time, we had no organized system of milk sale. It was only some of the government milk schemes who were involved in the larger metros for providing processed milk to the consumer. Otherwise, it was all, the entire trade of milk was actually handled by the unorganized sector. That means some Dudia will bring milk to your home, and that's how the trade was going on. Then when, the milk is a seasonal business, unlike any other commodity, what you see. Generally, you have more milk produced in winter because it is actually involved with the, pregnancy of cows. So you will see that there is a breeding season for cows and buffaloes, which gives, largely more milk in the winter. Also, there is a comfort of the cow and buffaloes in the winter. So you get more milk. And then when it comes summer, the milk production of all the animals, they go down, it goes down. So there is a seasonality in this milk. So in summer, when you have less milk, Paulson was buying everything from the farmer. In winter, when you have more milk, they were only buying milk to the extent they can sell. Remaining milk, they were not buying. And I think this was the major issue which was brought to the notice of Sardar Vallabhbhai. And he suggested that why can't you have your own business? You can form your own cooperative, carry out your own business. Why you are dependent on a private fellow like Paulson? And with this spirit, Tribhuwandas Patel was the freedom fighter working for the freedom during that point of time. And he was given the responsibility of setting up a cooperative. It started in 1946. First cooperative was set up, dairy cooperative in Anand. He became the founder chairman. He gave entire land which he was holding for building the cooperative, the dairy plant for the cooperative. So the land was donated by a leader. Then the operation started. I think first day collection was hardly 100 liters from few villages. And today you can see, that's just a few days back, I think yesterday or day after there was a news, their turnover was 72,000 crore last year. So that is the actually growth which they have achieved. Then there was a great leader. A vision was from Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and Tribhuwan Das ji was the chairman of Amul. And then joins them is Dr. Kurian, who studied in Michigan University, his master's. He was an engineer. Because he had taken the scholarship, the government posted him in Amul for some time, because it was mandatory for him to serve some years. And he was posted there. He was from Kerala. Anand or Gujarat, that part is largely vegetarian. You know, even today, you can't have liquor in Anand, in Gujarat, in fact. It's a dry state. And Dr. Kurian can't stay without non-veg. He had a habit of drinking alcohol. He was a bachelor. And nobody gave him house to stay in Anand. So he stayed in actually one of the garage which they had built in Amul Dairy for the initial days. And that combination of a great leader, what you had, Tribhuwan Das Bhai, and then Dr. Kurian joined as a professional, it completely changed the outlook of Amul. So they set up a first dairy processing plant, which was inaugurated by the then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru ji somewhere in 1954, 1955. And then 1964, they set up a first animal feed or cattle feed plant, which was near to Anand, which was to be inaugurated by Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, who was the Prime Minister then. He came to Anand. He made one request to Dr. Kurian, which was very unusual if you see from the Prime Minister, that I will not stay anywhere in the night and would like to spend the night with the farmers in some of the village. He says nobody should know because all the protocols and the security will not allow this to happen. So only two of us know that I am not staying anywhere. We will go in the village, spend the time with the villagers. If we feel some time, we will come back and have some sleep, but I want to spend maximum time in the village. So he came previous day evening, went to the village, spent time there with most of the villagers. And he realized that somehow the socio-economic status of that village or that area where he visited is completely different from the state he belonged to, for example, UP, or some of the other parts he was visiting as Prime Minister. And he made a request to Tribhuwan Das Bhai Patel, who was the chairman, and Dr. Kurian, who was the general manager in Amul, that I want to replicate this in every part of the country. That how can you replicate Amul or the Anand pattern, whatever you say, in every part of the country. And that's how we were born as NDDB. So in 1965, Dr. Kurian only had two conditions when he agreed to the request of Prime Minister, that the headquarters will be in Anand because all this has begun from Anand. So although NDDB is a national institute, the headquarters is still in Anand. The second request he made that it can be affiliated to the government because government has a large role to play if we have to replicate Anand. But no IAS officer will work. So he had that vision, and it was very clear vision with which we are still actually insulated from the whatever external interference, what you can see if you involve IAS officers or government, or you have your headquarters in Delhi. So those were the two conditions which were immediately agreed to. A plan was given to the government of India. And in 1965, we started as a society. In 1970, we began with a largest dairy development program, Operation Flood. And we started setting up Amuls or the dairy cooperatives throughout the country. When we started I'm just giving a figure of our country's milk production, which was roughly around 20 million metric tons. So from 1950 or 1947, we became independent to 1970, before we started the Operation Flood movement. The milk production was hovering around 20 million metric tons in the country. Our population was growing at a very fast rate after the independence. So you know what happens when you have the constant milk production and you have more population to feed. Actually, the per capita availability of milk was constantly reducing. It was roughly about 115 grams of milk per day per person. So in that scenario, we started Operation Flood program. It continued in 3 phases. First phase was actually very unique, which I want to share again with all of you. India, as I told, at that point of time, had government milk schemes in the metros who were providing milk to the consumers. They had their own small processing facilities. There was no organized system of milk collection from farmers. So because our per capita consumption was very low, many of us were having, facing malnutrition issue. And milk is, all of you know, it's the best food, wholesome food. So a lot of aids were coming in form of milk powder and butter. Actually, both are the source of solids which you find in milk. So you have skim milk powder, which is powder without the fat. It is dried. And you have white butter, which is extracted as a fat source from the milk. And when you add again water, butter, and powder, it again becomes milk. So it's a recombined milk, which you can make by adding water. So a lot of aid was coming in the form of white butter and powder from the European countries, from the developed countries to India. So when we started Operation Flood, I think the biggest question was the resources available with the government. Because what you see today, the developing country and the kind of GST figures you all see, 1.5 lakh crore every month, was not the revenue available to the government. It was very, very difficult for the government to start, a massive development program. So again, Dr. Kurian and the leaders who were there, they had thought of a very unique thing. So all the food aid or the milk powder and butter, which was coming from the developed countries as aid, was actually monetized. So instead of giving it free to the government milk schemes for selling milk in the metros, that commodities were monetized. It was given at some cost, and money generated out of it was actually used for the Operation Flood program for building the infrastructure. So building infrastructure at the village level for the milk collection, at the district level for the processing of milk, where you bring all the milk from the villages to one point. And then also some marketing infrastructure required for, having our own business. And that's how from 1970 to 1996, we continued with the Operation Flood program in 3 phases. Initially, as I told, it was the commodities which were monetized. Later on, we got because it was a huge success in the first phase. And for the subsequent phases, we got the World Bank aid for continuing the Operation Flood program. And at the end of the Operation Flood program, we could set up 180 Amul or 180 district level milk unions in the country. Largely all the milk potential areas in the country, they were covered. Some of the district unions were covering more than one district, because the economic viability is also important. You can't go on setting up the infrastructure if you don't have milk to process. In 1998, India became the largest milk producer in the world. So I was telling about the 20 million metric tons and the per capita milk availability going down, and nobody knew what to do with one of the best nutritive agriculture product we have. the scenario completely changed. Together, they started procuring almost 100,000 liters of milk every day by the end of Operation Flood, and we became largest milk producer in the world. It was all possible through the efforts of, apart from NDDB, who provided the plan and also the required manpower to implement the plan, but smallholder farmers or the marginal farmers or landless farmers. Today we have, our milk production is 220 million metric tons. Per capita availability is 440 per person per day, which is more than 3 times or 4 times than what we had when we started Operation Flood. Milk is perhaps the largest agriculture commodity. Its last year's output value was close to 10 lakh crore. So if you add all your pulses and all your cereals together, milk is still the largest agriculture commodity after adding everything together. It provides 5% to the national GDP. If you see the value, 10 lakh crore is the value which was provided to the farmers. And if you see the value addition, then the total output becomes 15 lakh crore. So the consumers pay 15 lakh crore, and of which maybe 10-12 lakh crore goes to the farmers every day. And there are 8 crore families who are directly getting their remuneration from the dairy sector. So I think this is a complete, so to say, change from where we were before the Operation Flood started and where we are today. Having said I think genesis which set up the tone, let us now, not boost ourselves that we are the largest milk producer in the world. Because whenever we go out and discuss in the international forums, like he said, the first question which comes to us is, so what? So if you are the largest milk producer, so what? You also have the largest number of animals in the world. So it's not a great thing. You also have largest number of animals who every day produce methane. The methane is emitted to the environment, and you are spoiling the environment most as compared to other countries. So the sustainability aspect, which I will give more details later on. The productivity of animal, our productivity is 5 to 6 liter if you take per day, if you take average of all the breeds what you have, both cattle and buffalo, as against maybe 25 to 30 liters in the developed countries. So we have a long way to go from where we are today. So if we have to now, again, some figure, we are growing at 6% per annum. If you take from 2012-13 to 2021-22, we have grown at a 6% compounded annual growth rate. I think very few sectors have grown with that CAGR. The world growth rate is only 2%. And that world growth rate is, again, that 2% is largely contributed by the countries like India, because we are growing at 6%. And we have other countries in Asia like Pakistan and Bangladesh who are also growing. So the second largest milk producing country is US. So when I say we produce about 220 million metric tons, US is still at 104 or 105 million metric tons. So if you see, even if when you retire, because we are as I told, our time is over now. We don't have much time before we retire. But even when you retire, I don't see anybody can challenge India from the position of largest milk producer. Because even if the USA has to become, challenge us to become largest milk producer, they need to grow double from here, which is a very, very difficult task, the way the sector is growing. So, but we have opportunities, as I told, because we are the largest milk producer, the consumer perceptions are changing now. We have seen the pandemic. We have seen the consumer perception changing. If you scan the environment, you will find that now people are ready to pay more for the hygienic products, for the products which has a good brand value. And this change has come after, particularly after the pandemic, what we have seen. So price, which used to be a major parameter in our country for the buying decision of the family, is not the same now. The perceptions are changing. The younger ones in the family are making the buying decisions. It's not that, so when we were young, our parents told us that you don't know, we will buy whatever we would like. Even today, now our kids tell us that you don't know anything, we will tell what you buy. So these perceptions are changing actually. And, we are not in an insulated environment. We know that these are changing. And that is the reason I think the dairy sector provides excellent opportunity from here for all of us to grow even bigger. One more, change which is happening, which is visible. We are a third largest economy now, fifth largest, sorry, and going to become third largest in few years from now, if we believe the government and the projected data now. The income of the middle class or even the poor is rising constantly. And what happens when your income level rise for any family, when you have more disposable income? If you see the food basket also changes. Normally, more income replaces the carbohydrate which you have in your food by protein. So whether it is a non-vegetarian source, animal source of protein, you can take chickens and eggs and other things. Or it is the vegetarian source or the lacto-vegetarian source like milk and milk products. So if we are having more disposable income, I think we all believe that we will have the milk sector or the dairy sector. It actually is going to grow further from here. We are growing at a 15% per annum now in terms of the organized milk market. If you see milk and milk products, it's going to increase from here. So that is the biggest opportunity. I think we all have to realize that branded products will have a larger say going forward. The products which have, a better perception about the hygiene is going to grow from here. Pandemic has also shown us one new challenge. You have all seen the revenge traveling. Because you were locked down for 2-3 years, nobody was able to travel. Now everybody wants to go in every part of the world. So people are traveling now. And same thing happening in the actually, if you see the products also. For 2 years, I think people were not ready to consume ice cream because of Corona. There is a problem if we eat ice cream. And now, last year, Amul, I think, grew at more than 40%. Their ice cream sales. Madhu Dairy, which is our subsidiary, grew more than 35-40%. We could have grown more if we had the capacity. We were unable to fill the shelf in the main markets. The demand was so high and we had not projected this demand and we had no processing facilities available. And I think this is true with all the players which we know, whether it is Nandini in Karnataka or Avin in Tamil Nadu or Amul. Any organized player you take, they are facing this dilemma. And all this I'm sharing because only to say that your future in this sector, either it is dairy or the allied industries, which is along with the dairy, is going to be very, very bright from here. Having said that, I think there are some challenges which will also provide opportunities if we take these challenges in a right perspective. The first, as I told, is the productivity enhancement of our animal. I think that is one of the area where the dairy board is focusing most of its energies to improve the productivity of animal, if we can improve from here. The little bit knowledge if you have about the animals, I think when I say productivity, it requires 3 major interventions. So first is the breeding aspect. That means the genomic capacity of the animal. So whatever you do, how much you feed the animal, if the genetic potential of the animal is not good, you are not going to increase the yield of the animal. So I think the first thing which we have to realize and which we'll have to work from here is improving the genetic potential of the animal. Having improved the genetic potential, as I told, the next best is the nutrition. You will have to provide good nutritive food, balanced food to the animal, so that you can harness full potential of the genetic potential of the animal. And third thing is the health. So having genetic potential, feeding also very good, you will have to see that the health of the animal is also maintained. So at Dairy Board, we are working on largely on these three aspects: breeding, health, and nutrition. In breeding, I would like to focus something on which Professor Doshiji told. We started with artificial insemination program long back, along with the Operation Flood program, to improve the genetic potential. And perhaps today also, I think AI is the best tool to improve the genetic potential of the animal. Because the natural services, or if you are, not taking care of the semen, which is from the good genetic animal, you will not improve the genetic potential of the animal. So we were working with the artificial insemination program. We are now working on the sex-sorted semen. So world over, there are two technologies for the sex-sorted semen. Both are US-based. In India also, we have started using sex-sorted semen with these two technologies, which is from US. Sex-sorted semen means you are separating the X and Y chromosome. And in a probability which you know that you will have 50% probability of a male calf or a female calf after the animal becomes pregnant. So what we are doing is sex-sorted semen. We are only getting the picking up the chromosomes which are responsible for the female calf, and we provide that semen for the artificial insemination, so that the probability of getting the female calf goes up to 85%, 90%. So all these problems which you see involved with the male calf, they are to some extent taken care by. So that is one area where we are working. And I'm happy to say that in maybe 2 or 3 months from now, NDDB will have its own technology for the sex-sorted semen, maybe, and it's all happening in Bangalore. So there is the development is going on in Bangalore. We have successfully tested the technology, produced the sex-sorted semen, conducted the field trials, and the prototype machine is working absolutely as per the other successful technologies what you have. And in the next 2-3 months time now, we are going to scale up this machine. So we are going to launch our own technology for the sex-sorted semen. The other area is the progeny testing, progeny selection program and PT programs. So progeny testing and pedigree selection are the two major tools which are available for improving the genetic potential of the animal, where you are recording each and every activity of the animal. So when you do AI, after the AI, when animal becomes pregnant, what is the milk yield? What was her mother's milk yield? What is the sister's milk yield? And based on that, you pick up the animals for producing semen. So male calf are also produced, which had a good pedigree in the family. You pick up the male calf for the semen stations. And similarly, you get the good female calf who has a good genomic potential. And then you multiply those breeds so that going forward, you can improve the genomic potential of the animals. We have also started working after the PT and PS programs on the genomic selection programs, where you are developing a chip. It's a small chip where you have all the physiological characters of the animal, of a particular breed. You also have the analytical parameters of the milk. You combine everything in a chip. There is a long mathematical, progression which you'll have to do, which will tell you that certain characters, certain analytical factors will give you a better yield. And those chips we have developed. So actually the cow genomic chip were developed elsewhere earlier, and we have now developed for our own breeds. So we have a chip developed for example, Gir or Sahiwal, our own indigenous animals. We also have for crossbred HF crossbred Jersey. And for the first time in the world again, we have developed the chip for the buffaloes, because nobody had worked earlier for the buffaloes. And NDDB has developed a buff chip. And now, even after the calf is born, in 5 or 6 days time, you just analyze the DNA of those calf, and you will know the genomic potential of that animal when it becomes pregnant and when it starts giving milk. So it allows the farmers to know at the beginning itself, should I keep the female calf or not? If there is a good genetic potential in the male calf, you pick up and supply to the semen station so that better quality semen can be given to the farmers. So these genomic selection programs are going in a big way in the future. The third thing which we are saying, which Professor Joshi again touch upon, is the IVF or embryo production and IVF technology. We have seen in human, there are some limitations in human because of the laws and other things. But animals, fortunately, we don't have such limitations. So we can use this technology for selective use of animals who have high genetic married bulls. So you use the embryos of the female calf with a good genomic potential and use these embryos for pregnancy in the other animals who do not have high genetic merit. And that's how you multiply the good genomic cow number of times. Otherwise, you have a good genetic cow available, but it can give only one calf in a year. It's, nobody can help there. But if you are able to pick up, say, embryos, maybe 30, 40 embryos per month from the same calf and use for the pregnancy in other animals, I think you can multiply that good genomic cow which you have by at least 100 times or 200 times in a year. You can produce 100 such cows which had a good genomic potential. So that is a big way which we are going. Government of India is actually supporting the program. 21,000 is the cost which we have worked out with the service providers, and 5,000 rupees is given as a subsidy by NDDB to the farmers from Government of India. So in a way, in 15,000, 20,000 rupees, you get a good female calf. IVF technology. And we have now started going at the farmer's level. So we have a hub and spoke model where you take the embryos from the farmer's farm, go there, pick up embryos, bring it to your laboratory, then you produce the embryos there, and then again you go to the farmer's level, doorstep, transfer the embryos again into the other cow, and then the animal becomes pregnant. So this is how we are reaching more and more farmers who have the good genomic capacity of the animal. In the breeding, I think now that you have good breeding challenges taken care of, what you will have to see next is the nutrition. And I think all your role, I think major role will be in that aspect. Because if we see today, whatever report you say, you will find that we are short of either it is green fodder or dry fodder or the animal feed for the animals. If you take the number of animals and the requirement which you have for the nutrients, we are short of all of them. We are short of green fodder, short of dry fodder, short of animal feed. And one of the reasons why it is so, because there are two ministries who are working. So there is a Ministry of Agriculture who is focusing on the agriculture crops and not on the fodder specific for the animals. There is Animal Husbandry and Dairy Ministry, which feels that that is not our job. Providing nutrition to the animal and growing fodder is agriculture subject. So I think in that problem, we in the dairy sector are facing a lot of challenges. And now I think that realization is coming up. But I see a major role for all of you. How can we have entrepreneurs, the farmers who can become entrepreneurs in providing seeds, good quality seed to the animal? So providing certified seeds is, I think, one of the major problem we have, because the farmers grow the crop, but the yield is very less, because they don't get the right quality of seed, or sometimes it is not available. So providing good quality seed, certified seeds to the farmers through maybe a farmer themselves, because many farmers will have surplus land. Many farmers may not have land who are involved in the animal husbandry practices. So if we create an ecosystem where the farmers are able to grow the seeds also, and same seeds can be supplied to the other set of farmers through some processing where the cooperatives or the organized players can take some share, I think that will be a very good service to the farmers to tackle the situation of green fodder. And the second area, similar area, is the silage. I think if we have to keep green fodder for a longer duration, the silage is the best alternative, because we have some climatic challenges and green fodder will not be available in all the areas all the time throughout the year. And producing silage is one thing, I think, which will ensure that there is some green fodder always available to the animal. So there also, a lot of entrepreneurs are now coming. There are scientific advancement and new technologies are coming. And silage is one area where we can encourage farmers to become entrepreneur, grow silage instead of some crops, and they will get good realization as compared to any other agriculture crop, and which to some extent will solve our problem of the fodder in the country. The second important thing in nutrition is the balancing of the ration. Like we balance our ration for the nutrients, I think it is important that we balance ration for the animals also. Because some of the areas like Punjab and Gujarat, for example, they have a tendency, they are rich, perceived to be rich, and they feed more to the animals than what they need nutritionally. And you have the areas like Jharkhand or Odisha or some of the eastern parts where the animals are not fed to the nutritive level they need. So if we are able to balance the ration, I think that is one area which will not only help to bring down the cost of the ration in some areas, but also improve the nutritional profile of the animal, and also in reducing the methane emission, because methane emission is at least it can be reduced by 14 to 15% if you are able to feed balanced feed to the animals. We have conducted large-scale studies of close to 3 crore animals, and we have data to support that if you balance the ration, the methane emission of the cattle will reduce by 14 to 15%. So for the sustainability aspect, I think this is the one area where we are working on the nutrition. And the third area is the health, where the vaccination has its role. And also one area where we are again working from the sustainability point of view is the veterinary medicine or Pashu Ayurveda. So we have seen a lot of effect of using homemade medicines or homemade remedies in actually taking care of some common ailments. It's not necessary that for every disease you start taking antibiotics. Antimicrobial resistance is going to be a big issue going forward if we don't curtail the use of antibiotics for the diseases where you don't need. And we have the enough knowledge in our country for treating such ailments, common ailments, by the homemade remedies. And NDDB with the Tanuvas University and few other universities, we have started propagating this to the large number of farmers in the country. And almost in 70-80% of the cases, we have realized that actually they don't need antibiotic for the treatment. Without the antibiotic, they can be cured. So I think this is one, again, area where as a responsible citizens, we'll have to see that how do we curtail the use of antibiotics for the future generations. Having said that, I think the next area which I'll just touch upon is the sustainability aspect. Some of these I have already covered in nutrition and health. But if you see on overall basis, out of the total greenhouse gas emission, largely about 15% is contributed by the livestock sector. So in whatever country you go, generally 15% is from the livestock. I think the vehicle are still the largest contributor of the greenhouse gas emission, but they are not blamed much because that is convenience for everyone. So nobody is blaming the vehicles for the emission, but we in the dairy sector are always blamed. So, but there are remedies available. So if you look carefully, and if you have to work for the net zero or reduce the carbon footprint in our country, which our Prime Minister and the government has already pledged that by 2070 we will have carbon neutral industry. I think we'll have to see the livestock sector also, that how we can contribute in this sustainability journey going forward. We all have seen the impact. I think what is happening today in Himachal, what is happening in Uttarakhand. In one day you get so much rains, and then for the entire year you don't get any rain. And many other parts of the country you have seen consistently in last 2-3 years this is happening. So one of the major reasons is the climate change, which we all are experiencing now. The average temperature of the earth is rising, maybe 1 or 2 degrees from here, which is projected in another maybe 60-70 years time. All these glaciers, what we see, they will melt, and we don't know what will happen. Even the water may not be, remain available to our future generation. So it's very, very important that we start focusing on the sustainability issue, on the environment issue, and the livestock sector, as I told, has a role. One thing which I explained is about the balanced ration. So if you are able to, balance the ration of the animal, I think you can reduce the methane emission by 15% in the animal, which will have almost 35% impact on the total, that 15% the sector is contributing. The other area which, we have started focusing in last 5 years is the manure management. So if you recall your days, younger days, we all have used dung as a source of fuel or as a source of fertilizer. We have seen either we have used ourselves or we have seen people using it for the fuel or for the fertilizer. So can we, harness this potential of both fuel and fertilizer in the dung and provide some additional income to the farmers? So we started working on this concept. First, we selected one village near Anand. There's a pilot village where we identified 370 houses in the village which had animals in their house. So they were producing dung. We gave them 2 cubic meter biogas plant free of cost. It was a flexible biogas plant, unlike the earlier one, which were civil and mortar type. And you had a lot of issues with regard to repairs and maintenance. And wherever there is a small issue, the farmer will then stop operating it. So these are the flexible biogas plant, the kind of balloon what you see with the gas. And we started giving it free. So we provided 370 biogas plant free. There was a small pit where the mixture of dung and water in equal proportion was fed. The methane which was there in the dung was actually produced as a biogas after the fully digestion of the dung. And that methane was used as a cooking source for the family. And if a family of 5 or 6 persons has 2 animals, they are able to satisfy the complete need of cooking with the biogas. So they were, they don't have to use the alternate fuel. So they could save about 1,500 rupees if they were using the LPG cylinder per month. Or they were able to cut down the time in bringing the woods from the nearby jungle. So that deforestation was also happening because, they had sometimes go for wood, cut wood and then use it for cooking. The female, they got more time to have in the family, with the kids in the family. Their health improved because no more lung problems. They were earlier using wood. So they don't have, there was no smoke in the house. Their lungs were better. So then we started realizing the, in terms of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And we could see that large number of goals are actually satisfied if you have just one initiative of manure management. And we started propagating it then. So after the methane is produced, used for the cooking, it's productively used. So you are not escaping methane in the environment. So in a way, you are helping the environment. The slurry which is left after it is fully digested, mixture of dung and water, is a fertilizer, as I told. So we formed a collective again in the village. Biogas plant were supplied to only women in the family. So all the beneficiaries were women. And of all those beneficiaries, we formed a women cooperative society for the fertilizer. So it was a Khad cooperative Mandli. It's a cooperative society of all those women beneficiaries. They started, we helped them also, handhold them, but they started producing organic manure from the slurry, bioslurry. So phosphate-rich organic manure, which is equivalent of DAP, and the liquid manures, which are very rich in the micronutrients, were made and sold nearby to the farmers. And now it has become a commercial operation. They are able to sell. NDDB registered a trademark for them. Sudan is the trademark. And we started giving it that trademark free to any woman cooperative who want to use that trademark. So having seen the success in pilot, we have now tied up with Tata Trust, Sustain Plus NGO, which is a part of the Tata Trust. And we have replicated this model in another 10 states. And having realized the benefits, the government of India has also adopted this model under the Govardhan scheme, under the Department of Water and Sanitation. So the replication is going on in a big way. This year, our target is that we will have about 50,000 such biogas plants installed in the backyard of the farmer. So it's a decentralized model where you are consuming the methane at the source for the cooking need of the family. The organic fertilizer are produced, which is again helping the land. You are minimizing the use of chemical fertilizer. And both fuel and fertilizer, if you see the alternate, they are both imported. We are spending huge money on importing maybe LPG or importing urea and DAP. So I think this is one area where we are working for the sustainability. Having realized that this decentralized model maybe will take long time to replicate, considering 8 crore families we have involved in the animal husbandry. We have also recently tried centralized model. So in Varanasi dairy plant, we have set up 4,000 cubic meter digester in the dairy premises. So it's a very large, in India, this is the largest digester in one place, in one dairy plant. First time in the country, we have 4,000 cubic meter digester. We are buying 100 metric ton of dung every day from the nearby villages. And initially, we thought that there could be challenge of sourcing the dung in such large quantity. To our surprise, 100 metric ton of dung we are getting from only 4 villages every day. So you can see that how many, how much quantity of dung is available in the villages, which is maybe not used productively. So we are getting that dung, producing methane out of it in the digester, and that biogas is directly connected to a steam boilers. So we have 2 steam boilers in the factory. Both are now fully working on the biogas, and we have stopped using the LDO, which was the earlier boiler fuel. And we are processing every day 1 to 1.5 lakh liter of milk, only using biogas as a thermal energy source. The surplus biogas left after fully utilizing for the thermal energy, we also have 2 electricity generation sets available. And we are generating electricity to take care of the biogas plant operation. So in a way, 100 metric ton of biodung the dung is helping us to process 1.5 lakh liter of milk. without using the fuel source. And although it is very early to say about the savings, but in last 4 months we are operating now, we are saving almost 40 to 50 paise per liter of milk in the processing cost, depending on the price of LDO, because the benchmark is the LDO price and it's changing every day. So either from 40 paise to 50 paise per liter, we are saving. 40 paise or 50 paise, you will not feel a large figure. But if you see 72,000 crore turnover of Amul, they are working on a margin of maybe 2 to 3 paise per annum. So in that aspect, if you now compare 50 paise saving in the processing cost, it's huge saving. And if we are able to replicate in all the dairy processing plants which we have, I think it's going to be a game changer, not only for providing the additional income to farmers, but also for the sustainability or the methane emission, which our sector is contributing to some extent. I think that's it. I have some more points, but time is the constraint. Some of the other thing I think which I wanted to touch upon, opportunity, last point I will make is the exports of dairy products. As I told, we are growing, since he is the actually authority on exports, and he helped us to prepare a report when he was in IIFT, when we were working on the National Dairy Plan and what are the possible areas where we can export. I think we took his help in preparing the report. But what is important to see is that we are growing, as I told, at 6% per annum in terms of milk production. Our domestic consumption is also growing. But if the present trend continues, both in terms of the demand of milk and milk products and also the production, and with some of the scientific initiatives which I told, like sex autism or genomic selection or PTPS programs, or some of the nutrition initiatives, I think we are going to have more milk than what the domestic industry can consume. And going forward in maybe 5 years or 10 years from now, we will have to start looking at the export. One thing which is a challenge or which is a problem area for us is the traceability of the milk and milk products, what we have in our country, because we are a smallholder dairy farming systems as against a very large farms, which you can see in the developed countries, 10,000, 15,000 animals they keep in one farm. For them, maintaining traceability is very easy to know milk has come from where when you process or you make the products. For us, because we are sourcing milk from large number of villages, large number of farmers on a small scale, the traceability is the issue. We are doing a bit in that aspect. So when we started the progeny testing programs, we had set up one network. It's a portal enough. Many of you may have heard about it, where any activity which you do on the animal is actually recorded on the portal. So it is the help of the digitization which we have seen in our country. So we have the details of the animal and its owner on the portal. And whenever you do AI, or whenever the animal becomes pregnant, or whenever you do vaccination, or whenever you do the ration balancing program for the animal, all the data are added onto the portal. And wherever you want, so it's done to a unique ID. So there is small ear tag which is put on the animal, yellow ear tag you might have seen. And that tag allows us to capture all the data from the portal related to tag number. So it's a kind of Aadhaar, Pashu Aadhaar for them. It's a unique ID number, and you get all the details of that animal using the portal. We started on a very small scale for our own operations of PTPS programs. But having realized the advantages it provides for the policy making decision, Government of India has now taken up that as a national digital livestock mission program. Both NDDB and Government of India are putting 50 crores each to make it a national level database. And of the 30 crores cows and buffaloes we already have about 28 crores animal recorded on the portal. So in maybe 1 year from now, we will have all the animals tagged and all the data available from the portal. So this will allow us to get the traceability also. We are revamping the software and the portal to get the details of the complete traceability in terms of milk processed and the products manufactured. And that will, I think, solve one of the major problem for us if we have to export milk and milk products. So I think with all these initiatives and all this which is happening on scientific basis, I don't see any reason for us to believe that the sector is going to face any challenge going forward. There are always some flags which are there. People believe that nobody wants to be in this business. It's a dirty business. You will have to handle the dung. But things have changed now. You are not required to do everything yourself. The way dairying was happening earlier, or the animal husbandry practices which were earlier happening have changed. Now we have seen a shift from 2 animal or 3 animal farm to 25, 30 animal farm, where women who have not even studied 5th standard or 6th standard, they are earning more than 1 crore rupees per annum. And Banas Dairy, 20 such ladies who are earning more than 1 crore rupee every year. So it's not that they are doing everything themselves, but then they know the business. They know that animal husbandry can give them enough return. And in many of the districts like Banaskantha, agriculture, which was earlier a primary source, and livestock or animal husbandry was considered as a secondary occupation, I think it has completely reversed. At least in Banaskantha, I can say the animal husbandry or the livestock rearing has become a primary source of income as compared to the agriculture. So we are going to have shift, and that shift is good for all of us. So with those words, I think I'll end my talk here. I can take some questions, whatever you have. What is the time we may do? So but you have a mic. I love to. I'll be. Mic carry on.
Shushmita here from Equity. So, as a total production of India is 221 million tons, with about a of 444 tons. And now we are aiming towards 300 million tons of production of milk, with in order to enhance the per capita availability till 592 tons. So with the growing rate of growth rate of 6.1%, we'll be able to achieve that with the financial year end of 23 and 24.
One thing is, I think your figures are correct, but going forward, if you see the WHO recommendation of per capita milk availability, it is about 300. World average is about 320. So I don't think we are setting a target of 592. I don't know from where you have got the figure. So 300 million metric ton is correct. But then, as I told, we'll have to look for the markets outside. If you produce 300 million metric tons, I think best is to export some of it in terms of value-added products. That is important because you want your farmers to continue in the business. And if you have to provide remunerative price to the farmer, if you have to see that he continues in the business, you will have to provide good price to him. And only way you can provide, continue to provide good price is by realizing more price by export of some of the products.
Thank you.
My name is Mr. Jose from APM. My question is like agriculture and dairy industry is opposed to the possibility among them. So, will it be possible for the dairy business to go with the praकृतिक feed manufacturing plant as a biogas plant? We are coming with the biogas plant manufacturing. So, it will be possible for that dairy business to go with the manufacturing plant of praकृतिक feed.
Yeah, we have already started working on, in fact, there are a lot of uses of the dung. So biogas plant is taking care of the methane emission basically, and also the cooking needs of the family. Now, after that, whatever digested slurry which you have the option. So you can either produce organic manures, which is a need for the agriculture sector also, because you can't go on, using chemical fertilizers. You will see what happens after 4 years or 5 years. So that is one. We have also worked on the paint, and we have successfully manufactured paint out of the bioslurry. And it's also, so you will have to work out a model. We are still in the actually work in progress, you can say. We started working 4 or 5 years back. And if you have to increase price, as of now, we are able to give about 2 rupees per kg of dung to the farmers. Now, if you have to increase the price, say 3 rupees, 4 rupees, 5 rupees per kg dung to the farmer, I think you will have to look towards such other alternatives where you are bringing more revenues for the farmers and you are able to get more from the consumer. So I agree completely. As far as the other question was about the problem of dung and dairy processing plant or something? No. Okay. So have I answered your query? Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Myself, Mr. Kande. Sir, in the context of rising market for dairy and allied products, there are huge opportunities will be in cold chain technology. So, sir, what entrepreneurial strategies should entrepreneurs consider while establishing viable cold chains?
Yeah, so I think both NDDB and Government of India, including Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Cooperatives now, are working on this aspect, because it's not only the milk, it's also all the agriculture commodities. What we have seen in for the tomatoes, for example, last month, we have never assumed that we will be buying tomato at 250 rupees a kilo, and I also remember buying at 5 rupees a kilo. So in 1 year, if that is the swing which is happening, and actually the farmer is getting the same money. It's not that the large part of the farmer is consumer, what pay is going to farmer. So even if you are buying at 250 rupees, farmer is going to get maybe 50 rupees maximum. So how you can tackle this issue? And your question is the answer actually, that you will have to have warehousing or the cold chain facilities throughout the country, not only for milk, but also for all the agriculture produce, to see that you are able to take care of such variations in the prices. So there are some bodies who are working to buy the products from the farmers, store it, so that it remain good, and then slowly release in the market. So in a way, you are stabilizing the prices in the market. And we have handled milk, which is a most perishable commodity. Of all the agriculture commodities, actually milk is the most perishable. And still, we could find the answer. So for other commodities also, I think cold chain is the answer. Of course, it will need some investment, but I think government has realized, and we are all working to see that going forward, we will have a good cold chain facility developed throughout the country. But it is required, and I think we are moving in the right direction.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Vipashpal from Agribusiness and Plantation Management batch. Sir, in past 70 to 75 years, dairy sector have achieved its own technological milestone in terms of mechanization or automation. But coming to a similar sector like plantation sector, despite being so much year old sector, it has not penetrated. Technologies are there, but the ground level penetration is not there in those technologies. So, what insights dairy sector can give to plantation sector or agri-allied sector stakeholders so that they can also penetrate so much in the ground level and changes can be made as it has been made in dairy sector?
I'll just take one example. We have Institute of Rural Management. So all these students are told to stay in the village for 1 month. Compulsory. And that is the answer. I think if all of you feel that we have to stay in the city, and we will bring about change. It's not possible. Let us get connected to the village, understand the issues which farmers are facing. Critical issues are always there. So, just pick up those critical issues and do whatever your best to see that how we can, solve these issues. And for which it is very, very important that we be with them, spend some time in the rural areas, wherever get opportunity, discuss with them about their problems and solutions we can provide. So training, capacity building, hand-holding of farmers and the extension activities. I think this is the only differentiator which we feel, which we used in dairy. In the areas like Jharkhand, when we first gave cow, after 3-4 days, when we went to his house, it was not there. It was actually killed, and then, they could use it for food. So there are difficulties, there are challenges you have, but you will have to work with them. So a person was there with the family. You will have to tell them how to milk the cow, how to rear the cow, everything from the beginning. And then when he realizes that there is some additional money in my hand by doing this, then your job is actually over. But to convince him to be in the sector, to focus in the sector, I think we will all need to spend more time with farmers in the rural areas. I think so.
I have a question related to value addition, sir. Nowadays, the consumer prices are changing. So, what are the strategies are implemented by NDDB in trade and support to the value addition?
See, you will have to look for the new opportunities, the consumer preferences, which I told. For example, now mobile is integral part of everybody. So gone are the days when you can give 1 cup of ice cream and you can have spoon in the other hand. People like you will never buy that because your both hands are now tied up. In one hand you have cup, in one hand you have spoon, and you can't see your mobile. So one hand has to be mobile. So then, those are the innovations you will have to look forward. That's how he will always prefer candy because he can eat with one hand. So I think such variations, such value addition we'll have to see. Lot of value addition is happening in, for example, the fermented milk sector. Curd, nobody would have thought, especially in the southern India, that someday we will buy curd from, the market. It was every day. It was a homemade food which is available. Your mother know, your sister know how to make curd, and every day you will enjoy. Now today, nobody wants to make curd at home, and perhaps curd is the commodity which is growing at again 35%, 45% for all the dairies which you have in the food processing sector. So look for the opportunities for the value addition. Some of the products which I see which are important is, as I told now, lot of carbohydrates from your food is going to be replaced by protein. Now Amul has come out with 2 products. I don't know you have read about this. They have a buttermilk packet with assured 15 gram protein. They also have a lassi with assured 15 gram of protein. So our industry has a lot of whey protein, which is actually drained in the gutter. When you make cheese or when you make paneer, the whey proteins are going along with the water or whey. So in a way, you can salvage this whey protein, make whey protein concentrates, and use it for fortifying products like buttermilk or lassi with a sure or assured volume of protein. We all know that for us, actually, minimum protein intake is the body weight you have. So if you are 70 kg weighing individual, you need 70 gram protein every day. And if you have to meet this protein, especially for those like me who don't take non-vegetarian food, I think milk and pulses are the only source of protein. And such products where you are assuring that 20 grams protein or 25 grams protein, it will actually see the consumer preference towards such product. You also have colostrum, for example, for the animal. It is very, very rich in certain products which helps your immunity. So can you dry the colostrum? Can you have some products made out of colostrum which can improve the immunity of the individuals? So these are, I think, some of the areas which are already coming. We have seen the lactose-free milk for the lactose intolerant people. So such value addition is bound to happen, is going to happen, and look for such opportunities and try to capture the niche market.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Tejas Reddy. I'm from second course of Happy Export Business Management. My question is, as we are the leading producer of in milk, but when it comes to exports, pricing matters a lot. We are unable to compete with the developed countries which are using automation and mechanization. But when it comes to the value-added, high-profit margin products like yogurt, we are unable to export the value-added and profit margin products. So, what are the opportunities for the value-added products in exports?
I think he is the right man to answer your question, but I'll just tell a few things. Your perception that we are not compatible with the prices is not correct. It's not the prices which is a factor. The factor is various phytosanitary measures or the conditions what we have in export. For example, India is a FMD prevalent country. We have in our country animals who have FMD. Many countries in the world, especially developed countries, they will not allow you to export your products to such country if you have FMD prevalent in your country. So I think we'll have to deal first with at our own level. All our products, let me say, they are equally good as compared to any product in the developed world. Any product you take, they are equally good. All our products are competitive in price. That's not an issue. The issue is these local issues which are not allowing us to export. So we are exporting now, our share is maybe less than 1% in the total world trade we have in dairy and dairy products. But it's only the certain products which are not made there, and you are serving your Indian population in those countries. So for example, ghee, because they don't get ghee there, we are able to export some ghee there. But many countries, as I told, have the phytosanitary measures which will not allow country like India to export. So the government has realized this aspect. From last 3 years, we have started free vaccination of animals for FMD and brucellosis through a national disease control program. So every animal in the country is provided 2 vaccines for FMD every year, free of cost by the government. And all these data are entered onto the INAP portal, which I explained. So this will allow, if your country becomes FMD free, that will open up the market. And you will have to establish the traceability, as I told. So traceability and FMD free status, I think these are the only 2 major challenges which we have today, which is not allowing us to export. If you can take these 2 factors into account, I think we will not have any problem. In price, we are competitive. Anything?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you then. Nice to talk to you.
So enthusiastic, but because, thank you so much. So I think formal thanks he will give, but let me tell him that he has been the only person in the whole dairy industry in the country who has supported that India should export. Incidentally, I am not as knowledgeable as, he is and most of you are. I only know about export. And I was talking this for last 20-25 years. He is the only person who said on the International Dairy Forum that Indian dairy industry will survive and grow and only you will export. I don't think that you have any idea about it, that how politically sensitive this statement is. Because as soon as you say no subsidy, you start exporting, everybody comes against you. But it is probably the right time when the policymakers in this country and across the world have realized that India is not only going to export, but the way we have become the largest producer of milk, the day is not far that India will become the largest exporter of milk. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing an in-depth information on how NDDB has formed and its activities, and how NDDB is working in terms of productivity, nutrition, and paving steps for sustainability and all. It was very enlightening, sir. And now I request our director to present memento to our chief guest, Dr. Minisha, as a token of gratitude and appreciation. Thank you, sir. Now I even request our director to present to the guest of honors from NDDB, Dr. G. Kishore, Regional Head, NDDB. Shri B. N. Shashikumar, Deputy General Manager. Shri T. T. Vinayagam, Deputy General Manager. Shri M. N. Satish, Senior Manager. Shri Sunil Kumar Nyamagonda, Team Leader. Dr. Mukul Gawande, Senior Manager. Thank you, sir. And thank you for all the dignitaries for your presence. Now I request Ms. Vaishnavi Verma, Senior AVM, to propose vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, one and all present here. It is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks on the occasion of today's leadership talk. I, Vaishnavi Verma, on behalf of Indian Institute of Plantation Management, Bengaluru, and the entire fraternity of management here, extend very hearty gratitude to Dr. Minisha, Chairman, NDDB and IRMA, for gracing this occasion with your presence and sharing with us your opinion today. We have been fortunate to have with us this eminent persona from dairy industry who made us aware about the new opportunities and scientific intervention in the dairy and allied sector, and also told us about the genesis of NDDB and how India transformed from the production of 20 million metric ton to being the largest producer of milk in the world. He also provided insights related to the sustainability aspect in the dairy sector and the ways in which carbon footprint can be reduced to a great extent. My heartfelt thanks to other eminent guests from the National Dairy Development Board, Dr. G. Kishore, Regional Head, Dr. Shri B. N. Shashikumar, Deputy General Manager, Shri T. T. Vinayagam, Deputy General Manager, Shri M. N. Satish, Senior Manager, Shri Sunil Kumar Nyamagonda, Team Leader, Dr. Mukul Gawande, Senior Manager, who spared time from their busy schedule and made their remarkable presence at our campus. I would like to thank our beloved Director, Dr. Rakesh Mohan Joshi, sir, for taking the initiative to provide us with this wonderful opportunity to learn from such a remarkable personality. I would like to thank our respected faculty and staffs for being so supportive and helpful to us. Lastly, I would like to thank the students for making this session a grand success. Thank you all.
I request all the students to assemble near the admin block for a photo session. Thank you.
Anna, Aja, please come quickly. Aja, sir, ye le lenge. Yeah,